Welcome to International Online Hockey Season 5, Western Conference Division. I'm your host, Doc Torrey. My co-host is Pandora. Today we're going to be breaking down the Central and Pacific Divisions. I am currently the GM of Detroit, and my co-host is the GM of Carolina. Dave?
I am the GM of Carolina. I am also the league official in charge of rules administration and complaints. I started here in Season 2, drafted Mr. Irrelevant by the New York Rangers. Season 3, I was an owner for a little bit, left mid-season over a conflict with league staff that a lot of people actually had, but they resolved it, and we were all back for Season 4. Perfectly happy with the league now. That's all behind us. Season 4, I played for Carolina. We ended up getting disqualified from the postseason, and now Season 5, I'm the GM of Capelina, and we're ready to take back what was pried from our hands last season.
All right, Pandora, I want you to give me the breakdown of the Pacific Division for me, if you could.
All right, in first place, we have LA, who are 24-3-2 for 50 points on the season. We have Phoenix, who is 18-10-2 for 38 points. And right there, I have to give a shout-out to James Neal. He came over after the season had already started. He had an okay roster. He made some moves, and that team's looking strong.
Didn't that just relatively happen pretty quick with James now?
What?
That happened pretty quick, right? Last week or something? The last 2 weeks or something? That was pretty quick.
I think that happened week 1.
Oh, okay.
Sped, who was the original owner, retired.
Okay.
And basically, James Neal came over midweek.
Nice.
And he came over, it was like Tuesday or Wednesday of that week. And we played him that night, and we lost to him. That's how quickly he got this
team
together.
Good job, dude. Good job.
And let me tell you something. He took. They have a chance to run at LA, and they have a chance to take that division. He's done a really good job there. Kudos to you, James Neal. Then we have Vancouver, who's 18-12 for 36 points. Some of the top players in the league for goals, we have Fisher at 36, Michael D. 71 at 31. Pink Dolphin at 24, Kopi at 23, and a tie for 5th between Baznet and Stinky Pete at 21.
Nice job, dudes. Nice job.
Then for assists, we have Crosby at 33, AS Rump Ranger at 29, D-Urch at 27, Fisher at 26, and Viper at 24. Then for points, total points, we have Fisher at 62, Michael D. at 52, Crosby at 46, Pink Dolphin at 45, and another tie, Barrett 50 Cal and Baznet at 40. For plus minus, we have Hattrick at plus 39, really far ahead of the field. I don't know what's going on there. Michael D. 71 at plus 28, Maverick Metal 6 at plus 24. Fisher at plus 22, and D-Urch at plus 21. And now for the Goons.
Shout out to the hitters. God, all right, let me hear it.
We have hits. We have Urch at 165, you goon. Showtime at 121. Sir Mike Knight at 99. KSE 11 at 94. And another tie, Kiefer and Diesel both have 77.
Love it. Love it.
Now let's go to the goalies, oftentimes the unsung hero teams.
Most definitely.
Cobras just dominating the field at an .862 save percentage for the season. You're talking about a guy who LA traded for mid-season, and right now he's got to be the leading Vezina candidate, in my opinion at least. I mean, he's been absolutely dominant.
Good for him, man. Good job, dude.
We have Downey Kid at 791, who is playing for a last-place team in Edmonton, but it's certainly not this guy's fault. He's posted up great numbers, and I got to believe if Edmonton can get anyone around him, that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. We got Belzy at 780. We have Flashlight at 771, and we have Wrath at 761. Now, I'm looking at a lot of these, and a lot of them are LA and Phoenix players That's no surprise. They're the top
Makes sense,
teams
right,
in the division.
right.
We got a couple of San Jose guys. I mean, San Jose was a team I thought that was going to come out and possibly win this division. I mean, they went out and got Meat Top Cheese, who was a top scorer last year. Spent $9.5 million to get him. What do you think about that?
That's almost 1/3 of your budget. You total, and cap issues and everything. I mean, you really have to be really sure that this person can give you exactly what you need. But that is a lot of dough. But in the long run, if they can produce, that's a value. That's a good interest. But the same token, that's a lot of dough tied up in one player. I've heard some really bad deals. $10 million players just not producing. But then again, there's some that are up there that do produce and they do get good numbers for you. What do you think? Any thoughts on that?
I think there were very few veteran players in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So what teams thought is, I have to spend a lot of money because there's going to be a lot of competition on so few guys. And I think another thought was, well, we have just this many veteran players and we have all this money to spend on them because we have reserved cap. And let's be honest, not many players after the draft were going to go for more than $1 million.
Right.
And so I think their thought process was, we can spend this money. But then now not all of those players are producing. And because of their high salaries, they're untradeable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also running into salary cap problems because they have all this money tied up into a few players that really should not have been spent on them. And so I think that's kind of hurting the competition in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it handcuffs you, right? I mean,
it absolutely handcuffs you. And it's hard to get a deal done because no one wants to take on a player with that salary.
No. And then, too, on top of that, a lot of these guys that are going for $10 million play in other leagues too, right? And I'm not knocking other guys playing in other leagues. It's just that if you play in this league, right, and the guy puts that much dough into you, there should be some investment, some loyalty back, right? I mean, you can make the practices and show up and not just go, well, I can only make Tuesdays, Thursdays, and full moons. You know what I mean? I mean, for $10 million, what? I mean, I need a little more commitment out of that. That's my peeve on that issue, I guess.
Oh, definitely. And what I noticed were a lot of these $10 million players were forwards. Mm-hmm. Now, our team went into it with a philosophy of, we need to build a back end.
Always goalie, D, right?
The only two players we picked up in veteran free agency, we got our starting goalie and our starting D-man, and we spent $14 million on them. And we didn't think any player was worth $10 million. We were hesitant to go 8.5 on our starting goalie. Not that he hasn't returned on investment,
right,
but we were hesitant at first because that's a lot of money to invest in one player, and we just weren't ready to spend that kind of $10 million on a forward.
Right, and God forbid too, something might happen in the guy's family life or a job or work, right, and he might not be able to come on, and it's no fault of his own. Other things happen, man. Now you're really in the loop, right? I mean, so yeah, I hear you. Oh, how about the bottom of the pack? What do you got for us in that division?
Well, we've got Edmonton, who, like I said, they've got the great goalie. They had their owner leave right at the beginning of the season. I don't think they've had any other management turnover. I don't know what it is. I mean, they have Sir Mike Knight on D. They got Diesel, who's a pretty solid player. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've got a few horses that if they can build a team around them, then, and not that any names I didn't mention aren't worth mentioning. There's a lot of new players in this league this year, so I'm not exactly sure. All I can go off of is stats. But I think they're a team that's capable of turning it around. It just all depends on what they do going forward.
I hope they do too, because once that negativity starts getting the team, you start gathering the losses. It's so hard to get the momentum, the mojo back in your team, and then it implodes, right? I mean, that's the bad thing about it. But I really do. I hope all the teams can turn it around, be a lot more competitive.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's also Calgary. Calgary's an interesting story.
Yeah. What's going on with Calgary?
Two new owners. That's the Pied Pipes 86 who took over Toronto, and James Neal, who we mentioned earlier.
Right.
They were both taken from Calgary's roster, so they've kind of had these players taken from their roster, and I don't think they've been able to recover yet. I mean, it's been tough going. I mean, that sucks when you have 2 draft picks taken away for ownership, and yeah, you get compensation, but I don't know. It's not the same. So they've been struggling with that. I feel like they could get it turned around. I just don't know if they will. They have a lot of players I don't know about. The only player I do know on that team is Slow Decay, who's a defenseman who played for us last season. Actually, he's pretty solid. So I hope they get it turned around. I'd like a competitive league.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, it's just too. I mean, of course you're gonna have top teams. Don't get it wrong. But in the long run, though, that you just if you're under 500 and struggling like that, it's a tough one, man. It's tough to come back on that. Do we leave anything out in your division?
I think we pretty much covered it.
That was an excellent job, man.